Welcome to the 52 Love Podcast, your show for 52 lessons in 52 weeks. Before we dive in, remember you can find the audio version of this episode, along with the rest of the series, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and Radio Public. And now, here's your host, Ms. Tonya Todd.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the 52 Love Podcast. I'm your host, Tonya Todd. 52 Love began as a blog series last year, 52 Love Lessons in 52 Weeks. The 52 Love Podcast explores each of those tips with a new guest each week. This week's tip is to dress up for a night in with your partner. And here to talk about it is my guest, Svea. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Svea Vikander. I am a journalist and I live in Arctic Norway. I'm the co-host of a podcast about artists and artist spaces called Art Crush International, and I'm writing a memoir.
Very cool. What is the weather like there?
Right now, it is all sun all the time. Literally all the time.
It's sunny, but is it warm sunny or is it a
No, of course sunny? Not. No, it's not warm. It doesn't get. No, I mean, people here will complain that it's hot, but that's just because they live in the Arctic and they're used to really the cold sub-zero temperatures. So, for example, my kids, when it's only minus 12 in the winter, they get excited.
Only minus 12.
Yeah. This is Celsius, of course. But for me, having lived in California, this is not hot right now. It's probably like plus 15 outside.
Let's see. I am in Las Vegas and it is absolutely volcanic.
We're definitely in like different worlds right now.
Yes. So I invite the darkness. I love the darkness. Please more darkness.
Well, if you would like to come here in November, that's the start of the dark time, which is the polar night where there is no direct sunshine.
That sounds amazing.
It's kind of beautiful. It's actually, it's funny because it's actually mostly sunset all the time during the day.
Oh, so you get the beautiful parts of the sun.
It's like red and blue and this kind of thing. Like it's very pretty.
And as an art lover, I bet you appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's a totally amazing aesthetic experience to live in the Arctic. It's incredible.
Well, this week's tip was to dress up with your partner for a night in. Tell us about that. And why did you want to do this tip in particular?
I feel like it's a bit of a cheat because I've actually been doing this my whole life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so when I thought about which tip I might be, best informed to speak about, but actually maybe it's not quite the same as for other people because it was not an experiment for me. It was like continuing a practice.
I see. It is a bit of a cheat.
It's a bit of a cheat. But at the same time, I think that I can speak to why I do it and the benefits that it's had.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me and for my relationships. Yeah. So I just love to dress up. Like I really, really enjoy playing with adornment, playing with style, fashion, fabrics. I love material culture. I love jewelry. All kinds of like different aspects of fashion really appeal to me. And so I've always liked to do that. Even before I was even in relationships, when I was just a little girl, I used to just dress up at home. It was like part of my life. It didn't really cross my mind that it would be a strange thing to do because my mom was an artist and I was raised by artists. So everybody was always looking a little weird. But then as I got older, I think I saw that people would consider if I was dressed up for something, they would think I had dressed up for them. So that I was acquainted with the idea of being overdressed when I was like 24. I first realized that this is a thing people think about, right? Like you're trying too hard. I was so confused. I was like,
maybe sequin gown wasn't, movie cinema attire.
But for me, it's never been like really for the wider world. It's been for like myself, my own sensuality, my own enjoyment. And
tell me more about that. How do you feel when you dress up? Like, how do you feel on your own without the outside influence?
I mean, I think it depends, like, obviously what kind of a state I'm in, but I think it's like a way of expressing yourself. And I kind of get in touch with, I guess, my inner self and how I want to feel. I have a lot of different types of clothing, a lot of different types of adornment. I can do different things, kind of embody different parts of myself. So
does it affect your self-esteem, you think?
At least in that moment. I don't know if it has like a lasting effect, but I've definitely done the fake it till you make it thing. Like if you're feeling down, to really put a lot into your attire, to glam up. For years, I did that to make myself feel good. So that was definitely part of it for sure.
Right. For the event, it seems like it would at least inspire you to embody whatever it is you've chosen for your outfit for that event.
Yeah. And in your blog post, you talked about it changing your posture.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting. That wasn't something that I had really noticed before, but it's true that if you're wearing clothes that you feel really good in, and like you're not going to slouch in your gown. You're going to dress up. You're going and if you do slouch, it's going to be in like a kind of loose.
Yeah, it'll be on purpose.
Exactly.
It'll be the one shoulder slouch.
Yeah, something like a little bit casual. Put your feet up, kind of thing.
I will say to the audio listeners, you're missing out right now. We both have shoulders going.
Yeah, and I think it's been really good for me too, because my husband and I, we've been married for more than 10 years.
Oh wow!
And yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you. And we got engaged like 3 weeks before I found out I was pregnant with our first. So we hadn't even lived together without being pregnant. And so for a long time, like, we'd try to have like date nights and have babysitters come in. We were living in the Bay Area, and it would cost, at base, like $200-300 just to go out to pay for like babysitters and crossing the bridge and then a meal or whatever. So it was hard. And so often we would end up just staying home, but we would have kind of a date night at home. He's a great cook. He'll cook us really nice food. We also both workaholics. Sometimes we just work side by side, but we call it a working date. And I'll still dress up for that, because it's like a moment to recognize you're present with your partner. I think that's really important, and it doesn't cost anything.
No, it doesn't. Like just a little bit of time and effort, right?
Yeah, which of course is hard if you have small children.
Yes.
I think like if you have small kids and you just feel like lying around your sweatpants, like that's okay for a few years. Like you, no pressure on anybody.
Right. No one's suggesting you need to do this all the time, or when you're sleep deprived because your newborn is up every few hours and you're trying to nurse and nourish yourself, Yeah.
But if this is a practice that nourishes yourself, then that would be a wonderful way to show your partner as well that you're like kind of committing to spending time with them, at least until the baby monitor tells you that you can.
Yes. And then you can waltz into the room together.
Your baby doesn't care.
Right.
It's like, what is this?
Oh, mama, you made an effort for me. So tell me about your most recent experience doing this.
My most recent experience probably would be, probably like a month ago, I think. Where I live in an indigenous community, a town called Guodogetu, and there's like a lot of like culture of visiting other people, but not a huge culture of like eating out. Like that's not really been a thing here for a very long time. There's only one restaurant in town that's not fast food.
Okay.
And it's not always open, and they serve meat, and my husband is vegetarian. So we do tend to like just stay home. And I have a really like beautiful black halter dress that I bought in Paris like 15 years ago. And it's a wrap dress, so it still fits great. So I wore that and some heels and some makeup, and he made me a nice dinner, and we ate it together in the midnight sun.
It sounds lovely, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Although I have to say that the midnight sun doesn't feel very romantic.
Why not?
Because it's very bright. Like, it doesn't feel like night ever comes.
Yeah. I'm
like
definitely a night person, so
it just feels like the day is just endless. Like you might like at 12 AM, and you just feel like it still could be like 3 p.m. Like there isn't that like dusk falling and the stars coming out or something. But
do you think it makes you more productive to have more daylight?
Yeah. Like I've heard that it actually triggers manic episodes.
Oh, really?
Bipolar. Yeah, because it does kind of mess with your pineal gland and your brain in that way.
Well, it's still romantic that you dressed up for each other.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I'm calling this the summer of sex.
Oh, well, there you are.
Like that's one of my priorities for this summer is to like have a lot of sex. So
that really sounds like a writing prompt.
It does. It definitely could be. I feel like somebody else came up with that, and then I was like, yes, that's right, but I don't know who.
I'm willing to bet the phrase "summer of sex" was used before any of us were ever born.
Yes, summer of love is just a euphemism, isn't it? Like we all know what that really was.
Right, summer of love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, like now that my kids are a little older, and we have more time for each other, and I changed my birth control, so now I'm ovulating, and like that just changed my whole life. I feel totally different. So. Yeah, so that's one of my goals for the next, I guess, 4 months. We'll see after that. Maybe I'll be tired of sex then.
Not likely. Not if you're doing it right?
No, not if you're doing it right.
Then you need to do 52 different sexual techniques, like switch to the Kama Sutra, or maybe we'll do a sequel to the 52 Love series.
You just do that. You do that and I'll just consume the content. I'll read the blog. Yeah.
I'll be your control group here, do the research. This one, keep this one in the book, Yeah. So tell us about what you do, right?
So I just finished my second master's. I was studying journalism and Indigenous studies. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working on turning that into some more popularly available articles. I researched sexual harassment of Indigenous journalists and also their experiences up here in Sami communities of like writing about people that they might know of or whose family they may know. Mm-hmm. So that was heavy and really interesting, but I finished my thesis in that, and so I'm working on that. And then I'm also writing a memoir about my own experiences in growing up in an artist community in Vancouver, and also, of course, living in the Norwegian Arctic. And what it's been like to move here. My kids are learning a Finno-Ugric language that I'm studying as well, which is Sami. So it's not related at all to English or French or Russian. It's like a completely different language family. Mm-hmm. Their word for mother it's not like mama or mère or like anything like that. It's etni.
Oh.
Like it's really different.
Yeah. You wouldn't grasp it if you heard it in passing. No, it's so beautiful. It's a really beautiful language. It kind of sounds almost like, I don't know, like a lullaby or something. It's nice that you're learning it as a family too, because then you'll be able to practice together.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, although at this point my kids are, they're way ahead of me because they've been immersed in Sami in school for 2 years now. So
kids tend to pick up that kind of stuff more easily. So
yeah. So they laugh at me and they try to teach their dad a few words and they laugh at him, and it's good for kids to like know something that you don't, so then they can.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So tell me about your writing process.
So I mean, when I do academic writing, and then I do more memoir, creative nonfiction writing, and I think I approach those pretty differently, but probably need the same things in each of them. I'm not so good at imposing structure on the second. So with academic writing, I really try to have like a weekly schedule with deadlines, and I find my mentor or mentors and I tell them what I'm going to have and when I'm going to have it. And then I break that deadline by 3 days, but it still gets done, Yeah. And then with the kind of creative nonfiction, I'm more loosey-goosey, and I've got lots of different ideas. I'm just like bringing things in from all over the place. But I need to impose more structure on the second so that it actually like gets done.
Maybe your structure could be more about the amount of time that you spend on it rather than what you get accomplished.
Yeah.
Rather than a word count, it can be a time factor where it's like, you know what, at least I'm creative and I can still be artistic in this moment.
Totally. A couple of years ago, I was doing a thing where I would write for an hour every day. I was really, really busy doing other things. It was really great. It was really productive. But then I got sick. Like I just got a cold or something. And then I just kind of I let it fall by the wayside. So I should start that up again.
It can be so easy to lose some habits and so challenging to get rid of the bad ones, you know?
My husband is a really good inspiration for this because he's also a writer and he has a work ethic and an ability to focus like nobody I've ever met. And he will actually sit down and write for like 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, totally, when he can. And even if there's like stuff going on around him, he's still able to focus. He has this he starts humming to himself and he's typing away. And it's so nice. But for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I saw a bird.
There's one over your shoulder.
Yeah, there's one right there. I'm like, wow, look at it.
You're the squirrel type.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. So.
And see, for me, it's not an easy distraction. It's like, oh, there's a noise and it's stopping me and it's distracting me. It's not a good distraction. It's like somebody's car alarm 15 blocks away. I can hear it. You know?
Yeah. No, and I'm totally the same way. Birds are nice if you've got them, but sometimes it's a car alarm that throws you off for sure.
I don't even use music unless I'm trying to drown out some other noise.
Mm-hmm. When you use music, do you use music with words or without words?
Without words.
Yeah,
because the words will start calling. But music can be so beautiful and distracting anyway that, you know, it's like, oh, I love this part in the song. You're not thinking about your writing it. So unless the song is pertinent to the scene that I'm writing, I try not to listen to music, or I'll listen to something I don't know.
Do you use like earplugs or headphones? Because sometimes I find that helps.
No, I have, but I don't know. It's not comfortable for me. Like I prefer to just feel like nothing is anchoring me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have, you know, lately the Loki theme, that has been my shut everything else out of the world. Like just, I put it on a loop and just play it. And then that happened today. I was like, oh, I'm still listening to this and the noise has stopped. I should turn it off.
Well, that's interesting, but like the same song on a loop. So it's not too much new stimulation.
Right.
I remember when my son had a really hard time falling asleep forever. And when he was like 2, I used to have to sing the exact same song, the exact same way over and over again to get him to go to sleep.
It can be comforting without being distracting.
It's like has to be the right level of stimulation. You know, not too much, not too little. Or he will stay awake. And then one night my husband came in and started singing with me, and then he started singing a different song, and it totally
like, now you're stimulating him. He's going to be awake now.
Like, go away.
Thanks for your help, honey.
It was a really nice moment, and then actually, like now I have to sing the ants go marching one by one, like
right.
Thanks
but it's a good memory, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yes.
So tell me about your podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast, it's with this amazing woman, Josephine Burton. She's my co-host, and we met at a radio station in California. We were both living in California at the time, in the Bay Area. And we started working together on the show that's been going on for 30 years. It's
my goodness.
The longest running culture radio show. So we kind of cut our teeth there. And then we decided to make our own show. And we called that Art Crush. And we would go into artist studios.
I love the name.
Thank you. Yes. It's also because we're both really giggly and like, I don't know, like a little ditzy, a little girly-ish. And also the first guy.
Which is funny because you're such an academic, but you know, you have multiple sides, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed being a cocktail waitress too. And so the first guy that we interviewed was like super, like, I don't know if he was very handsome, I can't remember, but he was like very serious. Mm-hmm. And he really looked deep into your eyes and he was like talking to us about things. And it was just such a contrast. Like we were just like schoolgirls and then he was like this serious artiste.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, we can't fight this. Like this is our rapport, this is our dynamic. We kind of encourage each other. We need to find a way to make this part of the show. And I was like, what is it that happens? It is that we develop a crush on the person. because if you spend enough time with somebody, asking them about their life, and like their artists are so interesting, and you just kind of fall in love with them each week. So we called it Art Crush, and then she moved away, and then I moved away, and we decided that if we were gonna do something, we need to make it more international. Like Art Crush International, so it's a totally different show, but we're still going into artist studios and asking them pretty similar questions and focusing a little bit on like their lived experience, like their background a little bit more.
So how did last year affect what you do?
I mean, on the one hand, it gave us some time to actually work with the material that we already had. Like, we're the kind of people who just keep acquiring more artists and doing more interviews, and like we have a backlog now.
Yes.
So that's great, but at the same time, we could have just kept doing that forever unless the pandemic had happened. So it made us like sit down and focus and figure out our branding for the show and when we were going to launch it and who was going to be in our first release of episodes and this kind of thing. That was good. But it also meant that even though I live close to Finland, Sweden, and Russia, I have not been able to interview artists in those places.
Oh.
Like, I live within a day's drive of Russia.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to interview a Russian artist, an Arctic Russian artist in Arctic Russia. Thank you very much. Like, what the heck? But I don't know. I'm very like happy that I was happy to shut down when the country shut down. I really supported that effort. So, right
and there's still time.
There's still time. And right now I'm looking at, I'd like to interview an artist who makes NFTs, but do the interview online. Do you know what an NFT is?
I sort of do. Like, I'm familiar with it. I couldn't explain it to someone.
I don't really know what it is. That's why I want to get an artist to explain to me what they're doing, because I don't really get it. But that's the kind of thing, if they're making it online, they're making a digital token, then I feel like it could be okay if we weren't actually in the studio with them. We could be online with them. Online.
And it kind of feeds into the whole, it's not really there.
Exactly. I feel like that's thematically appropriate.
Right.
But once, I haven't got my vaccine yet, but once I get that and things are open up a little bit, it's going to be a lot of driving around Europe and finding artists who will talk to us and take us into their lives and their studios and answer questions. And,
it sounds like you have plenty to keep you occupied in the meantime.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work. As you know, doing a podcast is a lot of work.
So what is the best way for listeners and subscribers to support you?
I think that following the show, Art Crush International, on Instagram would be great. It's Art Crush, ARTCRUSH _international on Gmail. And then also, of course, myself on, so not on Gmail, on the Instagram, on the G one. And then, of course, myself on Instagram, and on Twitter, I'm Svea Vikander, so SVEA for Svea, and Vikander, VIKANDER.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you can just Google me. I'm the only Svea Vikander in the entire world. So
the entire world.
It's true. No, there's not that many Vikanders. There's Alicia Vikander is a famous Vikander. She is my first cousin.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah. Like, there's really only like 100 Vikanders in the world, and we're all related. So
I was trying to share with my roommate how I thought to pronounce your last name, and I was trying to say it like Alicia, and I apparently had the emphasis on the wrong syllable the entire time, but I did know her name.
Right? Who knows how to pronounce this name? I don't know. I have a jewelry piece that I made that's just different misspellings of my family name that my family I'll send them to my uncle, Lars Eric.
Don't feel badly, because people misspell my name, and like
Tonya Todd.
Yes, it's Tanya and Todd with one D, it's like
exactly.
Tanya, like just so many misspelled things. And they'll send it to my email address, which is my name, and misspell my name.
Yeah.
So if they can't get mine right, there's no hope for you. I'm sorry.
It's true. I'm okay with people not getting my name right, because I don't speak Swedish, so I don't get my own name right.
As long as they click the link, follow, subscribe, right, and support your work, they don't need to say your name properly.
No, I think, names also can be fungible. I'm okay with people changing their names sometimes. My
Those are-
parents gave my sister 5 names because they thought she was the kind of person who would like to change her name.
So on her birth certificate, there's 5
It's
names.
5 names.
It sounds more like they couldn't decide.
Her name
Just
is
speculating.
Tessa. Her name is Tessa. She's Tessa Vikander, Tessa. It's like very straightforward. That often happens, right? The firstborn has the weird name. I'm Svea, right? Totally our own name. And then the next one, they're like, oh, that's really difficult to have a child with a really unique first name. So the next one is like more mainstream.
Sue.
Yeah, but, exactly. But there's like 4 other names after that. So
right. They felt guilty.
I think maybe. Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't give you a unique name, so we'll give you all of these extra things. But at least they're thinking of you both.
In their own way, for sure.
And you said your mother's an artist, so I'm sure that's just one more expression, right?
Yeah. I think so. Although the name Svea means Sweden.
Does it really?
Yeah, and my dad was a Swedish immigrant to Canada. He's a Swedish citizen. So it seems very immigrant-y to me to like name your firstborn after the mother country. Like, I feel like that was more him than her. But my grandparents didn't even want me to be named Svea because they said that it would just be mispronounced.
Oh, well, they weren't wrong.
No, they weren't wrong, but like, who cares?
But it's lovely. You know, it's one of those names that actually looks cool to look at it. It's not just cool to say it, but I
agree. I think it's graphically interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's only 4
You
letters.
have 2 V's in your name, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, V is a very interesting letter graphically as an artist. It's a good one.
Not to overanalyze here, but well, is there anything else you would like the audience to know about you before we wrap up?
No, I'm extremely grateful to have been invited on and to talk about my experience. This was really fun. I hope everybody enjoys dressing up in whatever makes them feel good and sexy and sensual. And I think if I would give any like one piece of takeaway advice, it would be that it's okay to dress up the way that you want to for yourself. And your partner will probably really like that.
Yeah, because you'll have that confidence because, you know, you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want their partner to feel good in their body like that? There's nothing sexier than that.
And on that wonderful note, thank you for being a guest on the show and giving us your takeaways and your experience and sharing your journey. Thank you to the audience for listening and for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give her a comment. Make sure you like and subscribe to all of her stuff. Make sure you check out that podcast because I know I'm about to do that right now. And thank you for watching the show again. Until next time, remember to treat love as a verb. Thank you.